of the close encounters of the tech kind. I'm John. We've got a fantastic conversation this week. We're going to be talking about AI. Just don't turn off yet. Hang on, just wait. Um, some major changes have happened in the climate. So let's read the list here because I'm going to follow it this time. Costco, they get smart. They take the RAM out of things. Notepad got hacked. Not the Microsoft, the Notepad plus plus. Adobe Animate. You remember that time when we could do that? Microsoft is now walking back their AI plans, at least in announcements. We'll have to see if they're following through on actual work. But in case they don't, Firefox has got our back. They're putting in a control panel. All that and a couple comments more. This week we've got Mike,
Hey everybody, how's it going?
we got Jackson,
Howdy do.
and then Artie is running the show behind the scenes, so he'll pop out from that screen.
Sometimes. Only sometimes.
It's a good thing. We need somebody in charge. But Costco, Jackson, you had that story.
Yeah, I'll just read the headline. It's pretty funny. Costco's reportedly removing RAM sticks from the PCs on display to prevent shoplifters from just stealing them. That's how much RAM has become quite the commodity. And there's along with it comes with a picture of a row of display PCs with no RAM in them. So it's just funny to see where we've gone, where the thing that humans are the best at manufacturing, which is transistors, is so hard to find.
I saw an interesting, speaking of transistors, I saw an interesting analogy on a very well done video for processors. So
Mhm.
they took an example of just a little GPU chip and expanded it out to the size of the Manhattan Island, the whole island, right? So if the chips equal the size of Manhattan, the transistors are the size of the light switch that's in your room right now.
Oh, good grief.
Mhm.
That's ridiculous.
Billions of them.
Uh, it was funny, if one of my professors recently he made that joke. Yeah, he's like, I think if extraterrestrials like looked at Earth and they were like, okay, they were asked the one question of like, okay, what do humans do? It would be that they manufacture transistors. If you do a Google search, at least Google's AI, because that's what we're all beholden to now, says that 20 trillion transistors are produced every second.
That's a staggering number.
Yep, and I totally believe it. I totally believe it.
It's like a
Something that
1-to-1 ratio for transistors to tardigrades.
I was watching a video that came out a few weeks ago, I think. Um, the wonderful channel Veritasium, they cover some of the coolest stuff, and they were talking about the machine that is currently being used for making the chips, and how they kept on finding ways to make the wavelength that they could write to smaller and smaller. And yeah, um, you would not believe how tiny things get when you are playing with things at the atomic level for making chips.
Well, and it's one thing that we can move atoms around. It's another that we can make 2 million, or I'm sorry, 2 trillion a second.
20.
20.
20 trillion a second, which is just insane. And it's funny because I had an opportunity to speak with some of the people over at Broadcom, and they were telling us about the difficulties that they experience in their own chip manufacturing, right? Like, what are their limitations? And uh, what he was saying is that they are limited to a very specific size. Like, the chips are not getting any bigger, only the transistors are getting smaller. And the reason for that is not necessarily um, Well, I guess it is because we don't have that technology. If you go to TSMC and
Mhm.
ask them to manufacture a chip, they will only do a certain size because the laser they have will gets too far out of focus in order to accurately create a chip any larger. And that's really the limiting factor. And it was funny you were saying, yeah, I mean, we've had conversations with TSMC and be like, well, will you guys make a bigger laser? Like, just make a larger platform. And he
You made
said
one,
they
why can't you put one next to it?
I know, no,
Yeah.
and he was like, "No, we were legitimately like, will you guys ever just expand the current form factor?" And he said they got laughed at. So, we're pretty much locked in where we're at. But with that said, I mean, the amount of transistors being created it's insane. And when you also think about like getting down to the nitty gritty on a specific chip, there's a lot of redundancy done because the manufacturing process we're getting so small that you're going to have bad sectors, and like it's just not going to work. So if without redundancy, I mean, your yield from any amount of silicon is going to be so low. And so if we were to really, upgrade our technology, it'd be interesting to see how much more we could actually get out of our current form factor, just with the increased usage of actual transistors, and we don't have to have, bad sectors of a CPU or parts of it that are literally just redundant.
It's actually not the first time I've heard that. Mike, you remember the 486DX2?
Oh yeah, that was my first computer that was fully my computer, not shared with other people.
Do you know the difference between DX and SX?
Oh, I used to. It's been a long time.
It failed some tests, so they shut off part of the chip.
Oh, really?
Yep. Like, think of it like the math coprocessor back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't know floating point math, or, I forget the exact instructions that were lost, but the SX line was a handicap version because it was manufactured
Mm-hmm.
bad, but they didn't want to throw a $300 chip in the trash.
Yeah,
Hmm.
well, it's funny because they still do the same thing, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
Intel, the easiest example is Intel. Their i9 versus i7 versus i5 versus i3. Sometimes it's the exact same chip. It's just you got a bad one, and so they have to blow some fuses in the CPU, and part of it is just literally not usable. Um, and so yeah, I mean, it's a way that we are still able to utilize the silicon without having to just be completely wasteful. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's funny, and that's why the i9s are as expensive as they are. It's because you got lucky.
That
You've
does make some sense with how some hardware doesn't perform the same. Like you get one that has that does amazingly at whatever the task that you're trying to do, but then the next one in the exact same production line that is in the same classification is like crap. So you got one of the
a
good
lot different.
ones that was a failed i9. Yeah,
Well, that's why overclocking is chip by chip specific. You can't buy it pre-overclocked because you don't know exactly how bad was when they made that chip. But here's another fun one for you, Jackson. You're talking about
Mhm.
blowing fuses to handicap the chip. There was a plan a while back to sell you upgrades on the chip, or
Really?
put a subscription against the CPU so that you pay your subscription and it unlocks additional powers inside, additional cores, additional features.
And if you end your subscription, your motherboard will send a slightly higher than rated for voltage.
Yes. Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Data center decides not to spend $2 million on the subscription. All of a sudden, it's half as powerful. Well, I'm glad Costco got smart and started taking the RAM out of the computers. Wonder what they did with it.
Yeah, they
It's
better
probably
keep
in
track of that.
their biggest safe they have.
I mean,
For sale on aisle 12.
obviously that means that those 4 display models aren't like, here, try before you buy. I mean,
All right. And well, don't even get me started on pre-builts, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm opposed, if that's your question. I wouldn't buy one if it had the RAM in it.
Even if it was cheap? Like 6 month ago pricing?
Just yeah,
Ooh,
no.
stumped him. You
Like,
can
are you
sell for
saying just
parts.
just for the RAM? I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess if you want to sell for parts, sure.
Part it out and have a cool case at the end.
Maybe. I still would never do it. As I say, maybe.
Well, let's jump in the headline this week. Notepad++. It's been a mainstay in most of our toolboxes. Everybody that does coding at some point in their life has touched Notepad++.
I'll say I haven't. And I think it's because the newer generation is not using it.
Really? What are they using?
We use VS Code for 90% of things. Another popular IDE out there is like I think there's like PyCharm or Sea Lion. They're all made by JetBrains. And I want to say there's one other one that's kind of popular, but VS Code has been pretty good for most things.
so honest truth, for coding, I use VS Code.
Mhm.
I have Notepad++ is kind of a quickie back up, like I just need to look at a text file
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, because I don't like the default Windows Notepad. It just I don't know, it just doesn't have the tools that are needed for proper text file editing, you know?
Your Copilot didn't help you out at all?
No. No. Mm-mm. In
I bet
fact,
question
I hate it when the default is set to open in Notepad and I open it up. I'm just like, oh my gosh, because even on top of that, like I don't like Courier. That's the font, and that's always the default font for monospace, type and everything. So when I download Notepad++ and I get my own monospace font. I like to use Source Code Pro. It should be an open font that anybody can go and find and download. I think you can find it on the Google Fonts library. That's what I like to use. And so anytime I'm doing a text file, like if it's an XML file or an HTML file, I just need to quickly go in and look at something or make a quick change. Notepad++ is my go-to. Now, for all the coding that I do, if it's like extensive HTML, PHP, scripting, bash, whatever, then I'm in VS Code because I like all of the navigation helps that VS Code provides there.
Okay, so I'll say all the coders from our generation are familiar with ++.
Yeah.
But Jackson, you've heard of it, right?
Oh yeah, I've heard of it. I've seen it. I have a few professors that use it. They ride and die by it. Yeah, but I mean, all the students like
Well,
what's
Uh,
prescribed is VS Code.
so what happened to Notepad++? I'm dying to know.
supply chain attack. Now they're not
My
talking
God.
about that everywhere else. I'm gonna call it a supply chain hack because they did everything right. We did everything right, and it still got compromised. The attackers compromised the domain registrar, redirected the updates to pull from their site, not Notepad++'s site. So it
Ooh.
mirrors, it copies, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. But they inject their code into the updated version of Notepad++. So if you set auto updates For several versions now, it's downloaded a corrupt copy.
Ooh, what versions?
I mean,
I don't
that's
Artie, do you know?
that's pretty bad though. I
Nope.
mean, that's worse than like your typical, because I mean, they have
Yeah.
full control over whatever, right? And if you've been downloading Notepad++, I assume you've trusted it, and so if it asks for permissions one day, I mean, you might be more inclined to just give it to it. So yeah, I mean, that's super dangerous. Yeah, and where are we at as far as remediation?
They fixed it.
Okay, that's good.
They found the plug and or the hole and they plugged it. So yeah, they found the plug and they hold it. Yeah.
So,
So the advantage of having total control of your domain is you've got it. The disadvantage is you still don't have total control of your domain.
When you say total control of your domain, what are you saying exactly?
So like you own the web server, you own the web host, you will own your DNS
Mm,
servers, but you still have
sure.
to register the domain name with one of the domain registrars on the internet.
Right, right. Hmm. So I guess I've always had this question, and sorry if it take us away from what we're trying to get at, but we are all aware of like the big DNS servers, right? Like there's Google. You can go to, I know Cloudflare has theirs. There's all of these that like, and your router will point to one of them to go get its DNS. But then you say you can also do your own hosting. So do you then have to register a bunch of like how does that work? If I want to host my own DNS, I mean, how does anybody know to come ask me for my own IP?
So there's two pieces to DNS. DNS is not DNS. You've got DNS and then you've got DNS.
Oh, thank
You
you.
with me
That
so
clears it
far?
up. No, okay, no, you're good. We can move on. That explains it perfectly.
All right. So we're going to talk about no. So you've got your name server that links a realworld.com.net domain to an IP address. It also contains information such as your MX record or a TXT record to give more information to those computers looking for resource on your domain. Um, the registrars put your domain name into the main list in the world. Uh, what is it? ICANN?
Mhm.
They own everything. We've talked about them before, where the database is only like 1.4 megabytes or something. It's like two floppies.
Right.
That leads to wiosupport.com, right? It then goes to the DNS server for wiosupport.com. So
Mm,
so your root link takes you to our server, which contains all of our records. So then if there's subdomains like our news.wowsupport.com, if there's MX records, if there's SFP records, um, SPF, my goodness, playing
all
with
the
networking too
acronyms.
much. Too many acronyms. So all that information is not contained in the master DNS record. It's a lookup to your domains. Once you get into your domains, then you can put in all the information you want. So if you compromise that chain, you can then have your own subdomain or reroute that to another IP address and
Right.
spoof the entire page
Hmm.
or knock them offline or do all those things. So if you've got all those pirate library sites or illegal content you're serving, that's how they shut you off. Is they rug pull the domain name out from under you. Nobody can get to you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then the other danger is, well, if you have automatic updates, the user never even sees. They would have no chance to even like have any idea.
You know, I had a bad feeling when I said it. I'm still going to stand behind it. You should have auto updates on your operating system. just in a general statement like that should be. Um, there's going to be more and more cases that make me want to eat my words. Like there's always going to be an edge case. There's always going to be a compromise. There's always going to be a hack. You can't set it and trust it to never glitch out on you. There's always going to need vigilance.
I
Yeah, and I
guess
think
with that, then it goes the idea that um, learn if it's possible, learn how to roll back.
Yeah.
You know, if you do get a bad update and things aren't the way they're supposed to be and it's not working, learn how to roll that back so that you can get back to a state that's usable and safe and secure, and then wait for the proper patch to come out so you can then get the update.
Because the
You don't.
world will learn quick. Go ahead, Artie.
Do you need to have a restore point set for those rollbacks, or is it inherent in Windows these days?
It depends. Depends how bad it boogered up your system.
Noted.
I will say it is getting better. The mechanism to do updates is there are clear ways of getting it to roll back using Windows tools.
Mhm.
But having restore points is a very good step to have. And just for fun, practice burning down your laptop and starting over.
Not literally.
Jackson's already
Not
had lots
literally.
of practice on that.
Just for fun. What do you
Wasn't
mean just for fun? That's
just
like
grins, giggles.
I avoid that like the plague because I already have to do it like as much as I don't like.
It's an unfortunate reality. We
It
will
is
have to
nice though.
reinstall. You know, back in the Windows 95 days, Microsoft said you should reinstall your computer once a year.
You know, and it's not a
Really?
bad like I'm sitting here thinking about it, and the machine, one of my desktop machine that I use, I spent far too long without actually doing a wipe on it. And it gets to that point where you're like, I don't remember where everything is, and I don't know if I know what everything is. And so it's always that fear of like, I'm gonna need this maybe in like a year. And if I forget where it is or I don't because when you do a fresh install, like I mean, you're gonna miss some things in your backup maybe, unless you
Mhm.
because you don't want to back up the whole thing, then you've just done nothing, And so anyway, it's like at that point where it's like, oh, it's gonna take like an entire day of me scouring through my files to see like where I've hidden away some things and make sure I restore the right things and don't restore the things I don't want.
So what you're saying is I should reinstall every time I reboot.
Yes, that's exactly what I want you to do, Artie. Reinstall every time you reboot.
Once a year. Got it.
Anytime Windows says it's performing updates, just reinstall.
Yank out the power cord and be done.
Yeah, it says Windows needs to restart. Well, it was a good run.
We made it 3 weeks. Oh, well, I'm gonna since we're talking about Microsoft and their lovely changes, I'm gonna go out of order on this one. Microsoft is rolling back their AI plans.
Yay.
So now
Really?
I haven't read this direct from the Microsoft website. I read it from some guy on the internet. So take that with a grain of salt. But Microsoft is saying that they're going to stop pushing AI for the sake of AI. They're going to start focusing on AI with an intent and a purpose because it's already in all the system. They're specifically looking at recall to say maybe it's still not secure.
Hmm.
You
Now,
think?
I'm curious if this has anything to do with that really, really dark day they had on the stock market. Artie, do you have that article? If not, could
No,
you
I
look
do
for
not.
it?
I will.
They lost 10% of their value in one day.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's a big hit.
Yeah, it's the most money a single company has ever lost in the stock market in one shot.
By dollar value, right?
Mhm.
Not by percentage, because I'm sure there's lots of companies that have lost bigger percentages. They just weren't worth
Yeah.
as much.
Ooh.
The fact
Ooh.
that Microsoft's worth so much and has been around for so long. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they only
think
have
it would
like
also
81.
be a qualifier for a single company, not or market-wide drop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They only made $81 billion this year.
Darn it.
Yeah, they have just been on the fall the last 6+ months.
A little bit of pain.
Yeah.
So tell me, Jackson, was AI a good move? Maybe.
Hmm. Looking at this chart here, no.
We started talking AI, price went down. We started implementing AI, price went down. We told everybody you're going to have no choice but to have an agentic operating system. There's
I'm,
no
I'm,
correlation here.
I'm gonna jump in with something. I've been watching the monthly numbers from the site that reports the usage of systems. Linux is almost at 2% now of adoption. And 2 months ago, it was at 1.39, I believe.
And that sounds like a small number, and realistically it is. But um, that 2% represents your diehard us, right? People like you, people like me, people watching this podcast, we really have an understanding of tech to a level that we can see what's coming. We're watching Microsoft make decision after decision, and we're starting to train on the competition. That 2% is going to rise to a good 5 or 10% in the next couple of years, unless Microsoft rolls something back.
So,
I kind of hope they don't, in a way. Like you know what I mean? Like I like Linux. I wish I could do the full conversion, but I can't. I'm beholden to Windows because a lot of things are only designed to run on Windows, and so if they take a dip and people start adopting Linux and realizing it's not that scary and it's not that bad and it's actually quite nice in some ways, in many ways, I might just shut my mouth and let them burn.
so I was going
It's
to
worth.
say
Go ahead.
that I pulled up a few articles, one from Yahoo and one from, was it GeekWire? And it's inferred that it is because of the AI stuff, because they introduced 365 Copilot, and it's built into Office apps, but has 15 million paid users, according to one of the sources. And they say that sounds like a lot, but when you consider that there are close to 45 million paid seats for Office, that
You mean Copilot?
it's Office to me. They can rebrand it any way they want. Office was the one that made sense.
But that's the thing, though. That's the whole point. Is they are doing this rebranding and they're forcing on these tools that people aren't really using and don't really care to use. And who knows, when companies report these numbers saying like, oh yeah, we have 15 million users, like uh, when they bundle subscriptions in with like everything, who knows if people are actually buying it for the Copilot? They might just be trying to use their Office suite.
It's like if you go to Humble Bundle and you buy a bundle there just because you want one game, they're going to assume that you wanted all of them, and you didn't. You just wanted that one.
Yeah, that's going to be the big challenge is um, where do they go from here? Because they've doubled down multiple times on recall and Copilot and putting it everywhere inside your system. How do you backtrack that and still hold the confidence of your investors when, Jackson, like you say, it's been a 6-month slide down?
Well,
Do you invest in more data centers? Do you invest in power plants to run those data centers? I'm hearing a huge pause on the horizon.
it's possible that they're going to reinvest in their data centers because they are saying that in the last year, the Azure cloud has expanded in user base, so it now has close to 40% of the marketplace instead of a couple points shy of 40.
Yeah, it's because Amazon's been making some bad moves.
Probably. I think my personal opinion, they've all been making bad moves and claiming that they're good just to appease their investors. And yeah, I can go more into that, but I think that's for a different podcast. Microsoft, if they want to appease investors and their customers, the thing that's going to appease the investors more, I think, is going to be showing them that there are more people actively investing their money and buying Microsoft products, like getting subscriptions to all these things. And you've had people in the past year canceling their subscriptions to 365 because they don't want the AI assistant in there. You've had people that are changing their operating system away from Windows. They're either going to Mac or they're going to Linux or there are minor ones out there that, yeah, anyways. So if they want to appease their investors, they need to show them that they are actually doing things that people are investing in, that people are buying, not investing in. And
Well, speculating what investors are looking for is what they've hired so many executives and what the board is in charge of doing.
yeah,
They guessed wrong.
no,
I mean, the value's gone down. I'll say they have chosen poorly.
I'm
It's up
going
to
to
them to
push
figure out
back
what's
on
behind.
that. They did what the investors wanted, but the investors didn't want something that would actually benefit the company. They wanted
I
AI.
disagree. I disagree. AI was a big buzzword like crypto or,
Yeah, and the
gosh,
investors were pushing for it, and that this is across the board with tech companies. They are pushing for AI because it's the new crypto, it's the new NFT. It is the thing that is popular and they think will make money. It's not doing that, so they are demanding different things now.
yeah, you and I invest differently. I always look at the track performance and the where they go and where they've been, that kind of thing. But either way, we can only speculate on the motivations behind all those people. What is not up for speculation is the last 6 months. History is the only 2020 on this, which is great because we can correlate that the way I think we want to. I definitely think there's a huge pushback in what is AI. I think we're at the beginning of a bubble pop. I don't know if you guys saw it, but uh, NVIDIA has just said they're going to pull back on the investment they were going to put towards OpenAI. It was supposed to be $100 billion, and now the NVIDIA is backtracking that, saying, "Well, we didn't exactly say what the number was. We speculated it might be up to 100 billion. We never finalized that number." which is investor code for saying you're not going to see that money. So if NVIDIA invests in OpenAI, which purchases NVIDIA parts, which does all that circle, that we're seeing the first link broke in that circle chain. So hang on, guys. RAM might get cheap again.
Fingers crossed. So in related news, another company that has decided to at least alter their plans for use of AI was Mozilla. They came out and said that in upcoming Firefox iterations, they're actually putting the AI controls into the panel. And I use Firefox, and it's already in there. I mean, the AI components are active in Firefox right now, but to disable them, you need to go into the about config, and most users don't even know about the about config. So
I love the warning
Yeah,
that shows up when you do.
that's kind of a bit of a hacky technical way of setting your settings, but yeah, it can be done, but not for the faint of heart.
yeah, don't mess with the
Those
settings unless you know what
warnings,
you're doing.
those warnings are my favorite thing. I love seeing those warnings because it means
It
I
should
know I'm in the right place.
it should have a different button instead of I accept or I acknowledge the risk. It should say I void warranties.
Yeah. No, so okay, my question is it was said that they would have like a kill all AI button or something to turn it all off. Does that also include have they found a way to basically shut up the Google AI response
Um,
when you do a search in Google, or is that
I
totally
think it's
different?
just the browser. They wanted to make it an AI browser,
Okay,
and I think the
I don't need that.
pushback from their fan base, which is honestly, I feel more rabid than the Linux fan base. Um, I think they took that into account, and they were also looking at the instances in the past few months of the AI browsers that are already out there compromising people in so many different ways. Um, right now, it is extremely easy for certain AI browsers to be hijacked by prompt injection.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible that they are doing it as a, what would you say, self-preservation move to keep the 3% of people that actually use Firefox active.
It would be good to have that number raise up. Firefox just needs a little more stable of a product announcement so it doesn't scare away people.
I'm honestly always surprised when that Firefox isn't more widely adopted. I
Mhm.
mean, it does everything that all the other browsers do, pretty much. I mean, there's some things that some browsers are like, oh, you need Chrome for this. Some websites I should say. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I use Firefox on the daily, and I always have people come up to me and be like, "You use Firefox?" I'm like, "You don't?" Like, why? I mean, I have Chrome, but I don't use it for everything. I use it only when I have to. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would like to see Firefox more widely adopted, because it's sad. Because I mean, there's been kind of that threat of it going away, several times in the last like decade.
Something that I find interesting about the usage of Firefox versus Chrome. Firefox is more privacy oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and the AI aspect that they were talking about putting in, AI is by its nature not privacy oriented, especially when they are attempting to do agentic type of thinking for an AI browser. Just watch, we get dinged for that that jingle.
It's possible.
But when it comes to using Chrome, I am really surprised that Chrome has such a wide adoption because it is extremely invasive into everything that it is. I am not being hyperbolic. It is designed to harvest data for Google. Even if you turn off all of the functions that are in there, it is still communicating with Google. It's just
Also,
the nature of the design.
you could think of it as, especially with the price of RAM these days, it is the most expensive browser on the planet. Just, I mean,
Yeah,
oh, one of my favorite memes. I think we have it up on our website. If you go find our socials page on wildsport.com/socials, I think there's a little meme there. It's like, oh man, I just built my computer and I have like 64 gigs of RAM. It's like, what are you gonna do? And it's like, do whole Chrome tabs.
Yeah.
It's interesting times.
I've been a Firefox user since early versions of it. I remember I was using it back in, I think it was at the tail end of me being in college, the first time I was in college, that Firefox came out, and I was an early adopter on my Macintosh, and it was great to use. And then I remember for a while I did switch over to Chrome and used Chrome for a bit, but since then, like, it's only for maybe a couple years, and since then I've switched back. I've been pretty much a Firefox user since then. And I know that part of it too, like, it seemed like for a while there things were getting really political for them, that there were some, questions about, who was in charge and what their political views were and this and that. And so then that kind of affected like whether people were going to have it installed or not, which it's really sad when that becomes a reason for whether or not you're going to use a piece of software. But I've never had any problems with the software itself. I've always liked it. I've always liked the interface and everything about it. So yeah, I don't know why there's not more people that don't just use it. And there's starting to be like a lot of other browsers out there now. I know that there's the Brave browser, which is Chrome based, but supposed to be more focused on, like, we took Chrome and we took all the privacy concerns out of it and made it more private. And it still follows the Chrome interface, I think, a little too much, and it's just not my liking as far as interface goes. So yeah.
Well,
So,
Firefox is not going to die because Chrome can't let it die. Google won't let it
true.
die.
This
I
is true.
so going back some time, I can shed some light on why Firefox lost a lot of its share. And there was actually a big lawsuit that ended up against Microsoft because of this. And it was they were shipping their computers with Internet Explorer
Mhm.
installed, so people people were not being given the option of a different browser. And you could, I mean, there's the meme of Internet Explorer. What do I do? You download Firefox.
That's all I've ever used it for.
Five bonus points if you could name the browser that Internet Explorer replaced, Artie.
That Internet Explorer replaced?
Yeah.
Ooh, are you
I
thinking
feel like
You say
Netscape?
that
I think I
you
know
said
that. I don't. Well, I
Netscape
don't.
Navigator.
I think I should.
there you go, Artie.
And
Is
Netscape
that
was
it?
Mozilla.
Yep.
Mhm.
Wasn't Firefox. It was
No.
Netscape.
That's the other reason why I was a Firefox adopter, is because before that I was a Netscape user.
hmm
And these days
You
we
know,
actually have a lot more option when it comes to browser. Um, if you're privacy minded, one of the best ones that I've found is Waterfox. It's a Firefox branch that basically, if you don't want it known, that thing will prevent anything you want prevented from getting out. It's a nice addition. And I think one of
I
the
didn't
main go ahead.
I didn't get a lot of hands-on time with it, but there was a fork I played with It's called Ice Weasel.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that one.
Just the name. I mean, it's Firefox. No, it's Ice Weasel. Like,
I think one of the main issues that they come up with people wanting to choose a different browser and why um, Microsoft even adopted the Chromium Core for their browser is the extensions. The extension landscape is so wide and varied that if you don't use a browser that can easily adopt one of those extensions, it's going to not be adopted very well. People are going to want to have, oh, well, I had this when I was running on Chrome. Why can't I get it now? It made my browsing so much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
oh,
and
by the way,
I always hold
turn
the
off all your
word.
extensions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like extensions are also kind of sketchy a lot of the times.
Yeah,
Unless
a
it's
lot of them are,
like,
especially if you paid attention to the news in the last 2 weeks.
yeah, I feel like
Good
they're
stuff.
they're just like a smaller. I mean, I don't know necessarily how to describe it, but they have such a small sphere in like the tech world that I think they get overlooked a lot, and there's plenty of security concerns with extensions. I mean, I only have like 2 or 3 that I use at most, and they're all privacy centered extensions.
Like
Um,
uBlock and things like that.
yeah, like blocking extensions. One of them's a password manager, which is its own thing, but I trust it, so and I keep up with it. And and my other one's a color picker. Can't tell you how often I have to use that thing.
Quality of life extensions are one of the best ones out there, but it's also one of the ones that gets uh, hijacked a lot as well. Just for the users out there, if you're looking for something to make things look nicer, there's a good chance that unless it's highly rated and vetted, try to find one that is highly rated and vetted. You don't want to
Yeah,
compromise your machine.
Well, I
mine are
gotta shift gears on this. Go ahead, Mike.
yeah,
We gotta
mine are
shift
all
gears.
developer extensions. Which on that note, I actually used the Firefox Developer Edition. And that's nice because one, it installs as a separate program, so you can have Firefox, and then the developer edition can have its own profile and not mess up your standard daily driver profile.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it just the base set of tools are enough for what I need. Inspecting, like, and even in just regular Firefox, it already does a lot of that. You can inspect the code, you can inspect CSS, you can even run a JavaScript console and look at other things. But I I don't like I for school, when I was doing online school a little bit ago, they had us install some developer plugins that are available for both Chrome and for Firefox. And I found myself using maybe one tool out of that tool set ever, because the base stuff that was in the browser just it already does what I needed to do. So I didn't have to worry about, you know, third party extensions taking over my system as much.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I got to segue to this last one because we have just a few minutes, and I don't want to leave everybody hanging that might be listening for this one. Adobe is killing another project. Adobe Animate. It's gone. Why is it gone, Artie?
Why? I
Yeah.
can kind of speculate. So
Say what you mean, Artie. Say what you want to
Wait,
say.
I
so
personally
what?
think that Adobe just likes to get rid of tools that are popular with certain niche groups that aren't actively making them money. So many years ago, they got rid of Flash, which was used by everybody on the internet. I mean, you could not go to a single website in the mid 2000s without landing a Flash developed applet or something like that.
Unfortunately, it was insecure, so all the Flash players out there were vulnerable.
Yeah. And they,
Started getting updates every 2 days.
Hmm.
yep.
I
So
remember that.
Adobe bought Macromedia, which was the company that made Flash, and they incorporated it into their fleet of things. And it was transitioned into Adobe Animate. So when they killed off Flash Player, they killed off the support for Flash Player, but they kept the core workings of that in their Animate program, and that is now
Mhm.
what they are getting rid of.
So
Macromedia really had the tool.
so what does Animate, what does it export as? Like, were people using it for web-based stuff, or was it just for general animation?
It
That
was for vector-based animation. So they could scale it. You render it.
Yeah,
You know how vector graphics work,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But for people listening, the difference between like a JPEG and a vector file is that a JPEG, if you take a 100 by 100 JPEG and scale it up to 1000 by 1000, it's going to pixelate. If you take a vector graphic from 100 to 100 and scale it up to the same size, it's going to maintain clarity because it's vectors, it's points and lines and colors
And
versus
math.
pixels.
It's all,
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a bunch of math. It's not
mathematics.
pixel
Yeah.
data.
So with Adobe Animate, people were able to make animations that they could scale. So something that they made 10, 20 years ago. Well, how long ago did they change it to this?
Well, see, that's the thing is it's I don't wanna say it's old tech, so it needs to go. It's abandoned tech, and it's unfortunate they didn't go release this to the community that loves it, say, "Here, this is now your open source project." It left it closed source, and they're putting it into the ground.
This
Well,
is
it's
days.
it's I mean, you say that, and I mean, there are posts of people saying like, I just took a whole semester long class on Adobe Animate, and it's gone
Mhm.
now. So I mean, it's hard to gauge exactly what the usage is without Adobe really telling us. Um, as far as like people that I'm sure they track all of this, but yeah, I mean, you bring up the point. Okay, why do they have to kill it? And instead of just saying, okay, we're not going to support it anymore, but I mean, we created something, so I mean, here, it's open source. Have at it.
Also, it raises the question, by killing it, are they meaning that if you've got the creative suite that's got that in there, is the app just going to disappear and you're not going to be able to use it anymore? Or is it going to remain there with no more updates?
See, that's what
Probably
I was trying to
On a
figure out.
on a subscription model, that'd be interesting.
That's what I was trying
probably
to
if
figure out,
you've
and it
got it, you'll
looks
keep it.
like I don't know. I don't know for how long though. I read 2 or 3 articles, and I was trying to figure this out, and it seems like if you've already had it, then you'll have it for another year or so. If you have
Mhm.
like content in the cloud, you'll be able to download it for another like 3 years or something like that. But then it seems like that if you don't have it already, you're not going to be able to find it, and if you do have it, you're only going to be able to access it for like another year, maybe. Now don't quote me
So
on that, because I,
yeah.
I I mean, I couldn't find a definitive answer. It seemed like.
Yeah, and you
So
won't. That they're
what
gonna feel out
software
the
comes
anger and
close? What software comes close to doing what they do? Because
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is Adobe says, okay, uh the creators are saying there's not a direct replacement. Adobe says that some of the features can be, here's what they say. They suggest that Adobe After Effects can support complex keyframe animation and the Puppet tool, and then Adobe Express can be used for animation effects that can be applied to photos, videos, text, shapes, and other design elements. So instead of having one tool to do it all, plus whatever else the community has been saying that they're going to lose functionality, they're saying here's 2 other tools you can use, and you don't get the one that you like. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
it's
So
really interesting because back in the day when I was first in college, this was back when Macromedia and Adobe were still two different companies. And I remember that in our classes, okay, so it was kind of weird because I was in an art department and they were teaching computer graphics. However, we also had a multimedia department, which was primarily focused on things like video, TV broadcast, that kind of thing, right? Filmmaking. But they also had their computer graphics classes too, but they had a different focus. Theirs was more for like direct animation, video making, things like that. Ours was focused more on graphic design, computer graphics, and art. But they crossed over, so some of our classes were required for their majors, and vice versa to some extent, right? So even though I was an art major, we were learning some forms of animation, and we had Macromedia Director, which was very similar to Flash, but it was for compiling interactive computer applications that strictly just ran on your computer as a player file kind of thing. But all of the topics were basically teaching you the basics. Like, forget the fact that this is how this, because this is what Jackson's comment a little bit earlier brought me to, is that, we spent all this time in school, we're learning the software. And I think a good class is going to be one that, yes, they're teaching you software that's probably used in an industry, but the real learning should be the reason behind it. Like, why do we use this tool, or why do we do things this way? It should be kind of application agnostic as
Mm-hmm.
far as what you're trying to learn. If you can learn how to do it in Adobe Photoshop and understand the principles behind it, then it shouldn't matter whether you're using Photoshop or Corel Draw or Corel Photo or whatever, or GIMP or some other photo editing program, right? Just the same thing with, Animate or Adobe Illustrator or any other application that's out there, is that if you can learn the principles behind it, the only thing you're going to have to learn that's different is the interface. Like, how do I find the option to let me do this? And if that's
Right.
possible, or am I going to have to fake it? Or am I going to have to write a plugin to do the same thing? You know, so, but it is kind
Oh,
of, I see the point that if Animate goes away, because if it's generating files that are very specific and, you know, Flash based and everything, it kind of seems like the same thing as when Flash went away, is that a lot of that was taken up by the introduction of HTML5. Like, people had to
mhm.
learn a totally new way of doing the same things that they were doing in Flash, but now instead of doing it in Flash, we're doing it directly in HTML5 and with CSS and with JavaScript and with other things that are at our disposal, which is debatable whether it's any more or less secure than Flash ever was. But there you go.
So, I mean, it's one of those. I don't think Adobe's paying attention to their history because, like you're saying with
Mhm.
Flash, when they sunsetted that, HTML5 took over, not another product inside the Adobe ecosystem. They gave up market share
Yeah.
to a competitor.
One, it's not even really a competitor. It
No,
gave way to a standard
yeah,
that every mainstream browser has to adopt now to be able to play the content and everything. The
but
other thing
but
is
they
that,
gave up their customers, their paying
well,
customers.
yeah, they're not getting a paid customer from it. Yeah, that's true. And I can't think though that there's a lot of great Flash sites that I loved to go visit back in the day, but I don't think any of those have been converted properly into something that's a new standard. Now there's some
Oh,
workarounds. There are people that are out there that are making like a Flash player that you can still run to play some of that stuff, but
check out Homestar Runner. He put it all
exactly.
on YouTube.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube now.
So, unfortunately, we gotta wrap this up, and I definitely want to call out Homestar Runner for having such a fantastic run of Flash media and then continuing to roll into the new technologies.
Speaking of new
It's great.
technologies, I'm going to interrupt you. If any of you out there are animators or artists that use something like Adobe Animate, what alternatives would you recommend to anybody that is lamenting this loss?
It's a good call out. Yes, comment below what you use, what you'd recommend for somebody to start, what you'd recommend somebody learn as the professional tool. It's good stuff. But I wish we had more time. Mike, I'll give you the final thoughts.
Final thoughts? Oh,
Yeah.
geez, we've talked about so much today. Stay up on tech. You know, with Animate going away, maybe it's an opportunity for somebody out there to fill a void. So if you've got the skills and maybe can make some kind of a comparable or competing product, go for it.
That would be awesome. We live in an age where you can build a company out of your garage and make a lot of money doing it. So let us be part of that journey. Till then, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
And I left the oven on. Be right back.
Have a good night.